Hello and welcome to Game Train episode number 58. I am Callan. I am back on the podcast after a little bit of absence, but I am back. And joining me is Karl, who took over in my stead with Connor, who is not here. That makes no sense,
Yes.
but anyway.
No, but it's all right. It works for me.
Thank you
Hello.
for Connor for filling in for me the other week. Much appreciated. But
Yes, that was great.
Yeah, let's have a look at this week's episode. So, plenty of news around, which we'll go into in a sec. We'll also be talking about the Division 2, the latest looter
Yeah.
shooter. We'll also be having a look at Shadows Die Twice, Sekiro, which just dropped last night, so that's pretty exciting. We'll also
Yeah, we weren't going to mention it, but we've just been playing a bit, so might as well.
Yeah, and we're reviewing Devil May Cry 5 this episode, the latest hack and slash from Capcom. But
Yeah, we're also going to have a look at Dirt Rally too.
oh yeah, we'll have a look at Dirt Rally as well. But before all that, we've got the news. Okay, so System Shock 3 has been announced. I'm very excited about this. I loved System Shock 2 back in the day, so they've come out and announced Part 3, so I don't know when we'll see it, but I'm quite excited
Yeah, is
for it.
this an official announcement? Because I remember recently, like, fans were doing one.
Yeah, there was a short trailer
Ah, okay.
from Game Developers Conference.
Ah, right. So it is, and it's the same team as the original, or I guess same company, or
No, I think it's a different team these days. I think they sold the IP many years ago, and another team's picked it up, and they're developing it. Yeah. Also announced at the Game Developers Conference is Google has entered the video game arena with the Google Stadia.
yeah, which I think
Stadia?
I
Stadia?
say Stadia because it reminds me of Stadium and like a arena of
Okay.
gameplay. Or I feel like this is kind of like could be the biggest news of the moment. You know, like it's.
Yeah.
I think it might be the future of gaming. Like right now, maybe not, especially for Australia. But I think this is.
Not in Australia. Well, it's not coming to Australia at first. So what Google Stadia is, they're doing a streaming gaming platform, whereas that you can just stream games direct off the internet. There's a Google Stadia controller which you can use with it or one of your own, and yeah, you could even watch a trailer for a game and straight after start playing that game, etc. Like that's how they're trying to sell
Yep, and
their
play it
product
on-
here. You can play it on your TV, your phone, your computer monitor, your tablet, anything like that. That's what they're going
Yep.
for. The kicker is though that you got to have a minimum of a 25 megabit connection to be able to run these games.
Yeah.
They're boasting 1080p at 60 frames per second with the streaming service here. Whether I can't see that happening in Australia yet. Like I think our internet's too volatile and just not good enough here to sustain something
Yeah,
like that.
and even many states in America still.
Yeah,
So not just us.
but you know it is coming out later this year.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna even be a like this could. It feels so similar to Netflix and the very similar vibes we were feeling maybe like bit more, maybe 10 years ago when that was first sort of slowly becoming a thing, and you know, like the thought of not having a DVD player in your house, or you know, not needing a set-top box to watch digital TV, it was just crazy,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, that's a bit insane, and now it's just so normal.
Will it be like Stadia and chill now?
Well, you need your hands.
Also, more from Game Developers Conference. It looks like there's going to be another game in the Oddworld franchise. Soulstorm,
Yes.
it's called. So, yeah, it's coming out in 2020, which is very exciting for Carl, because I know he's a real big fan of Abe's Odyssey.
Well, the
back in the
Oddworld
day.
series in general, yeah, I love it. This is really exciting news.
It's one to keep an eye on if you're a fan of those old school games. Alright, also, Cuphead is coming to the Nintendo Switch. Also, another game, Back for Blood, has been announced. This is from the developers of the Left 4 Dead series, so it seems to be a similar thing, 4-player co-op, hunting down zombies.
Looks pretty cool. A lot of people have been waiting for or hoping for a Left 4 Dead 3, so I feel like this is as close as you're going to get if you're a fan of that.
Now, Left 4 Dead was first person. Is this third person?
I believe this is also first person.
Why didn't they just call it Left 4 Dead 3?
I don't think they have the rights anymore, which I
Oh,
think the name is actually, this is me speculating, but I think it might be a bit of a tongue in cheek. Like, I don't know, it's a bit of a cheeky title, having the number 4 in there still, and also calling it like Back for Blood. Like I
yeah,
think it might just be a little, yeah, a little.
yeah,
What do you say? Like just a small nod,
yeah.
like an
A
angry
hat
nod
tip.
sort of thing.
Yeah. But we'll have more on that when more information comes to pass.
Battlefield Firestorm, which is the big sort of battle royale for Battlefield, everyone's been curious about because they keep pushing it off and changing the date. And then ever since Apex Legends dropped and then Call of Duty dropped theirs, everyone's been wondering, like, where does Battlefield fit and will it still work? And they have announced that it's going to drop as a free update for 5 on March 25th. And it's going to be 64 players, and you can choose to play solo or in a team of 4. It's going to have heaps of different biomes in the one map, and it's going to be the biggest map ever, 10 times bigger than their Hamada map.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty cool. And I really had to mention, before we finish up, No Man's Sky is doing another massive update, like their next update called No Man's Sky Beyond, which also includes an online mode. And they're not calling it an MMO, but it said it's going to have a lot of massive multiplayer online aspects that we're used to in it. So you can expect a lot more news on that, which, I don't know, I have a lot of respect for them doing this. They really haven't given up. Like, they've smashed on these sort of updates for No Man's Sky and creating a good game out of what was essentially a bad one, which gives me hope for things like Anthem.
So you admit Anthem's bad?
No, I admit that I actually like No Man's Sky as well. I'm one of the weirdest people in that sort of situation. I had a wonderful time, and then I got on and started looking at the reviews and went, "Oh no, I'm so uninformed or something. This is apparently a terrible game." And then, I don't know if it's like this kind of like chicken and egg thing, but it's like once you hear about the flaws, you go back into the game and you're like, "Oh, look at all these flaws." But if I never read about them, would I have stayed in this like beautiful world where I thought it was incredible? Because I had so much fun until I read reviews. Then I went back in and went, "Oh yeah, they're right, I guess. Yeah, oh yeah, I guess that sucks and this bit sucks," and kind of like an early relationship.
And that's the news. Okay, so you've got the full hard pick for this week?
This week, which only just dropped, I went with Xbox Game Pass this time instead of Games with Gold or PS Plus or Nintendo Online, because that's the best place I could find something cool. Like, I guess PS Plus does have The Witness, which is an incredible puzzle game, so that's on there. But the one that got my attention is What Remains of Edith Finch.
Okay.
And that's kind of a walking simulator game with, like a mystery to unravel. But this is kind of more of a personal reason of going into it, is I've been just so curious and hearing wonderful things about this particular game and the atmosphere and the story, and I've been meaning to check it out forever. And so now it's just sort of appeared on my Xbox as something I can play for free as part of Xbox Game Pass. So I'm really excited to do that. There's also Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which I've already played, and I think a lot of us have, but if you haven't, that is a awesome game. Has that real kind of like do missions however you want and make a lot of different choices and things happen in different ways. A first person sort of cyberpunk shooter game. But yeah, those are my picks. But yeah, that What Remains of Edith Finch is probably one I'll be checking out.
All right, nice. So we're going to roll on to our games we have been playing the last couple of weeks.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's kick off with the new one first. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Right, so we just started playing this last night. Came out at midnight. So for those that have played Bloodborne or Dark Souls before, same sort of concept except Shinobi this time.
Yes.
And you can jump, and you have a hook shot that you can jump around the levels with.
Yeah, you can jump a lot, and you're fast.
You're very fast. It's a lot, like people used to say Bloodborne was more fast-paced than Dark Souls. Now this just leaves Bloodborne behind in terms of the fast stakes. Like, wow,
Yes.
It's a lot quicker. The game's built around combat once again, but this time you are required to deflect a lot more to be able to break your opponent down that you're fighting. In Dark Souls and Bloodborne, you could parry and things like that, but the window was very, very tight. I hardly ever did it. I got through both games really without parrying once.
Nice.
Just because there was other options there, but this game kind of requires it in some of the fights. So I'm kind of getting used to that, but the window's a lot bigger to execute your parry, which is quite nice. It's the same sort of style. You go through, you fight enemies, you fight, bosses, etc. You die, you lose XP, and money in this one as well.
Yes. Yep.
It's a gorgeous looking game and it runs super smooth. The game is challenging once again. I've died many times. I'm very happy I'm not doing a push-ups challenge on this one because
Yes.
I'd already be exhausted the
Yep.
amount of times I've died. But another cool thing, he's got this prosthetic arm and you can put different attachments on the arm for it to do different things. So there's like a shuriken one, there's like an axe one for breaking
It
shields.
seems to be a theme for this episode, as we'll find out.
Yeah, there's a fire one which like staggers enemies, which is super handy. There's a tip for you, Kyle.
Yep.
Just things like that. So it's so far. I'm not very far in. I've done like three, little bosses. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm just still trying to get into the flow of it. Like there's sometimes when I'll just get into that flow for like 10, 15 minutes, I'll annihilate everything. I'm like, this is great, and then I just go clunky again and just get destroyed because I'm still trying to play it like Dark Souls and Bloodborne. Whereas I got to get in my head that I can jump, that I can hook shot away. Stealth kills are really important. They're really, really helpful in this game. So rather in Dark Souls and Bloodborne, you would generally just dodge around a lot of the time.
Yeah,
While
of
in
course.
this, the dodge I don't think is as potent as it is. Like I still dodge for some enemies, but others it's better to deflect or jump or hook shot away and come back and try and take them out stealthily. So yeah, if you're into those sorts of games, I seriously recommend picking it up. We'll have more on the next episode. But this is just the first impressions that I've now had time to sit down and play it because I did play a bit at PAX for 5 minutes until the console turned off on me. And it was really hard to gauge how the game felt. But now that I've actually been playing it, it feels super slick and awesome.
It does. It is really pretty. It's still there's still a kind of like slightly muddy vibe to the visuals a little bit to me, but they do look really nice in like the environments and things like that. But there's something like cloudy or going on there. But I think that's just their. I feel like it's quite intentional from software to have this kind of like almost dreary, depressing hopelessness that's kind of portrayed through the visuals. So that might be the reason for that. But it feels kind of a little bit muddy in that way. Traversal feels amazing. But I jumped in because I was curious. But I'm not a fan of the Dark Souls, the Souls-like type games. But I thought maybe I had kind of a naive hope that they might be going back to their Tenchu roots, which was just one of my favorite games on PS1. Very different vibe, but same guys, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
And I just loved that, and that was a lot more based. It was almost a bit more Metal Gear Solid, and had just a slightly different feel, a lot more catered around stealth and being a ninja. But alas, this is Dark Souls and Bloodborne with a samurai hat. So if you are a fan, you're gonna love this. I think this is a really cool, fresh, fast take on it. But if you're not a fan of the genre, it's still more of that. which I'm
I
sensing
feel
a
like
lot.
you should play more of the game. So
I definitely will.
Okay.
But it's kind of like someone saying they feel like I should play more of FIFA once I've decided, oh yeah, actually this is a FIFA game, but everyone's wearing, normal street clothes and they tricked me. Or like vice versa. Just not my genre, but I will jump in and have a little look a bit more. But I quickly found out that this is going to be really good news for people who like the Souls-like games. So that's really great because it was kind of up in the air before it launched. Like, how close will it be? Are From Software going right into their that Souls-like genre and doing what they do best and kind of just gonna, dominate again in the gaming world with this kind of, because a lot of people are trying to attempt their Souls-like style, but no one really does it like them. Like they have this kind of weird. It's not just the difficulty curve, it's also like the obtuse sort of puzzles and mystery and backstory and heavy lore, and like their worlds are so unique to them. And I think this really all their style translates really well into this. But yeah, we'll get into that next time. But that's
Yeah.
what I'm feeling so far.
Another hard game that Carl's been playing is Dirt Rally 2.0.
Yes, this is where I get my Souls-like. They call it the Dark Souls of racing games, the Dirt Rally franchise. But I just love it. I've always loved rally games, and I have no idea why. Sort of open world crazy games with stunts and guns. I'm not really a racer type person, but something about rally I've just always taken to since the early like Colin McRae rally games. And this is a direct homage to the early ones. Even the cover looks the same. They use the same 2.0 title that they used in Colin McRae 2.0 on PS1. The game is stunning as expected, but Dirt started going a lot more like in Dirt 3 and Dirt 2 even. They went a lot more into like sort of gymkhana and action and crazy, like sponsored by Monster and, you know, real neon and craziness, and they lost the kind of just old school classic rally, and they've gone like right back to that, which I just love. It's just you and the road. There's all kinds of different sort of ways to play it and different modes and whatnot, but in the main sort of story, you're climbing up the tiers. You've got a driver next to you telling you which way to go. Classic rally, but it's really hard in a really challenging and interesting way. Like if you damage your car, you have to pay for it. You have to repair it with time and money that you're earning. And the feedback of the tracks and the weather is fantastic. Like knowing the difference between what wheels to use when you're on gravel or on mud or on snow or on ice. You can really feel the feedback, especially with the Xbox controller, which is just glorious. And the sounds are really awesome. It really feeds into how you're controlling the car. So much concentration. I guess it is similar to like that Souls-like thing, because you make sort of one mistake and you ruin the whole thing, and you might as well start again. Like there's no sort of rewind button and silly stuff like that. Like it kind of takes itself seriously, but it does it really well. It's a beautiful game. Everything looks amazing. But yeah, you got to be in it 100%. It's not one of those like chilling out, listening to music or chatting to friends, because you have to listen to your co-driver and you have to be watching and be completely open and alert the whole time. And I find it really exciting. But yeah, I'm loving it. Loving a bit of Dirt Rally.
I have not played Dirt Rally, so I cannot comment.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get the 2 copies, and I don't think you would buy it. This is definitely your Sekiro, where like just not what you'd want to do.
Yeah, but Sekiro is a better game.
Yeah, but Dirt Rally's a better game.
Right, but talking about better games, let's talk about some Division 2, which has now just come out.
Yes.
So now it's been out just over a week now. It's the
Is that
follow-up.
all? Holy moly.
Follow-up from Division 1, and now, so the concept of this was that a virus has spread through, you know, the population, killed a lot of people. A lot of people have just gone rogue and just out there doing whatever. You're a division agent, like a sleeper agent that, you know, gets contacted to try and clean up the mess pretty much. So the first one was set in New York. This is now set several months later in Washington, D.C. So it's springtime now. The first one was in winter, so it was snow everywhere. Now it's spring, so it's all nice and green and nice looking. But it's the same sort of thing. You're a division agent. You're trying to clean up Washington, D.C. There's several factions that are just creating chaos all around. And it's like, right, let's get sort of order back into this because it's just getting out of control. Again, it's a cover-based looter shooter.
Yep, and you're just unlocking more of the city as you go and kind of taking control.
I wasn't too excited about this game at first.
No, you were not.
But
yeah, that's
then
true.
I jumped in and I was just like, this is amazing. Like, this is one of my favorite games now to have come out this year. I've put a lot of time into it. I'm now at the end game. It is just so much fun. There is so much to do. There's like, I think
It's non-stop.
there's 16 story missions, but then there's all the side quests. You can take over control points from the enemy and slowly take back the city. There's all these other little mini things you can do, like hostage situations or releasing prisoners, etc.
Radio propaganda and changing things up like
taking
that.
over territories. But then the loot, like there is just loot everywhere in this game. Like if anyone that says there's no loot in this game, it is everywhere. Everywhere you go, you're picking up materials, new guns,
And it's so satisfying. Everything kind of matters. If you take the time, you can constantly be upgrading yourself in you can either do it blindly and just go like, that's better, I'll take that, that's better, I'll take that. Or you can go like, okay, what effects does this thing have? This armor has a little bit less strength or power, but it makes me stronger when enemies are on fire, or it reloads my weapons faster, and it just feels like a perfect one of those old school, even like Diablo types. It feels like a fantasy game. The way, like how much there's, you have these skills as well. Not just your guns. They really encourage you to not use it's not just a shooter. If you're using only your guns, you're gonna get overwhelmed really quick. You have like drones, or you have little turrets that you place around, and gases that you're throwing at people to either heal yourselves or weaken them, and you have to constantly be using those and strategizing with every fight is kind of like a little puzzle in itself. It's quick, and it's so fun.
It's very cool, and there's like people complain about bullet sponges in the first one, so there are spongy enemies back this time, but this time they plated it in armor, and you can shoot off pieces of armor, for example, on their arm, and then if you can hit their arm, it will drop their health super quick, for instance.
Yes.
Which is great.
And it's very satisfying.
I was very relieved that it's not as bullet spongy. Until you get into quite the harder difficulties, then the enemy health gets a lot more, it gets a lot tougher. But also, once you do hit endgame, level 30, you can then specialize. So then you get the choice of 3 different specializations, which is survivalist, demolitionist, and the other one, stealthiness guy, sniper guy. So yeah, you get a unique new weapon, which is like either a crossbow, grenade launcher, or a super strong sniper rifle. Then you get a talent tree where you then start putting points into to unlock little bonuses like protects you from explosion damage or do more damage with light machine guns, etc., etc. So you start to perk your guy out with those. Then you get into the end game, where you can go back and do all the old missions on a harder difficulty, plus the strongholds. I'm not going to say what happens in the end game because I don't want to spoil.
Just a lot of content, and it's not simply everyone's just got a bit more health. Like, there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more thought into it, which I have so much respect for. And the talent trees and stuff are like a whole extra game.
Then there's the Dark Zones too, which is a PvE versus PvP area where you can go in and take down enemies and liberate landmarks, but then you can come across other players in here and you can choose to either go rogue and fight them or just leave them alone, etc. So I've been on both ends of this where I've gone in now, I'm like, no, I'm not going to fight anyone, and then I got jumped by a group of 3 and smashed. I'm like, that's cool. But then I was playing with your brother the other night and we're minding our own business again, just clearing a landmark, and this one dude shot me, so it turned him rogue. I'm like, that's cool, buddy. And we just charged straight in there and took out this group of 3, and we're like, yep. We weren't looking for fights. We're just going about our business. We're just exploring, checking it out, and someone decided to try and fight us, and we sure showed them. So that was a lot of fun.
And that feels great, having those kinds of opportunities.
Probably the weakest part of this game is the story, though. It's very lackluster. It's hard to work out what's kind of going on. It feels a little disjointed at times. In the first one, it felt, and it's been a few years, but I felt like I knew what was going on a lot more.
Yeah, and interested.
Yeah, and I felt the factions were a bit more interesting, like the cleaners, who were like these old, people firefighters and garbos, and that all got together and they've made this group where they're just trying to burn everyone that's infected with the virus, sort of thing. On this one, there's little bits of that, but there isn't really strong motivation behind each faction, I felt, like in the first one.
Yeah, and it's really campy and kind of just written like almost lazily, like, your home of the base of operations is the White House, and you're finding the Declaration of Independence. Like, it's just kind of, I don't know, it's almost like it wrote itself because it was in Washington, D.C., and they just went with it and went, yeah, might as well, let's do this kind of thing. I kind of just blocked out the story like way early in the game, and it's a much better game for it, I think.
It's a super fun looter shooter. Like, this is the base what looter shooters should be now with the amount of content they've got, and already they're bringing new content soon. So they're going to have a new you'll be able to push your end game up to a thing called World Tier 5. They'll be releasing another stronghold for that. Then they're releasing another raid on top of that, which is for 8 players. And then
currently it's for 4.
And then in a couple of months' time, they're adding whole new zones to the outskirts of Washington.
Oh, man. And we haven't even mentioned how beautifully it actually launched.
Yeah. It was a really seamless launch. There were some bugs, but Massive's gotten on it straight away and fixed them. There was one where your skills were despawning in a day. They had a patch out, fixed that. Little things like it just made it just so nice. And the reception online's been fantastic. A lot of people are just really digging it. And Yeah, like it's fun
Oh.
based combat. It's really really fun.
And we just dropped in and we're like playing with each other in the game world, within minutes, and you can just teleport to each other. There's so many quality of life things in there. Every time you take over a control point, it turns into a place where you can fast travel to around the map. So there's incentive to do that, but it's not automatically there. Wherever your friends are, you can fast travel to them. So simple and just so easy.
The one thing they need to put in this to make just the icing on the cake here, right? You got a beautiful cake, everyone's happy, but you just want that bit of icing. The ping system from Apex would just cherry on top.
Oh man, that ping system needs to be on everything. It's the coolest thing Apex
Oh,
did. And
just
I know
being
they
able
weren't
to,
the first to do it, but man,
yeah.
it's cool.
Oh, it'd be just nice to go, right, let's all get this guy or this guy, because it's like, get the guy over there, and everyone's like, where?
Yeah, and you have to shoot, and then everyone's looking at you, and you make too much noise, and you start a fight.
Yeah. But yeah,
Oh,
so
man.
no, Division 2 has been excellent. As I said, I think it's my current game of the year. I'm just all in. I've had so
Oh,
much fun
yep,
with this
same.
game.
Loving it. We all of us and our friends just migrated from Anthem straight to Division.
Yeah.
I'm not even usually into that kind of realism, and it won me over.
Anthem showed what a looter shooter shouldn't launch with in terms of content. Division 2
Yeah.
showed what a shooter should launch with content. Like and because they were back to back to each other, you could just see how much extra stuff there was to do in Division 2, which I think for Anthem, that's one of my big letdowns is there isn't much to do, especially at endgame.
Yeah, but I did jump into Anthem really quickly just a couple of days ago, and I have to say that game is as fun as ever still. Like, the Division is awesome, but it's a very sticky game compared to it. Like, because of it's more of like a high dynamic chess where you're moving from piece to piece and strategizing like a movable, that kind of like placements and putting your pawns and choosing. Whereas Anthem just felt like complete freedom, more of a playground, nothing to do in there, once you finished it all, but just wow, that still feels really cool. I just want to reiterate that I'm not like bagging out and I've completely left the ship.
I have left the ship, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, also they have this huge update coming, so check that out as well for Anthem, I should say, where they're fixing so many of the things that we were talking about earlier and that a lot of people online have been talking about.
But it feels too late. It feels too late for the game now because Division 2's come out and everyone's like, that's your standard now. That's what we want.
Oh, we'll see. I don't know. I have hope. If No Man's Sky can still be holding on,
Okay.
then
We'll
then
see.
I have hope. The only thing it's too late for is Fallout 76.
Okay, well, watch this space anyway. Rolling into the shout out this week. Once again, we're promoting Gaming Australia. They're a Facebook group on Facebook. There are now over 600 members in this group, so they are growing by about 50 members a week, it feels like, at the moment.
Wow, that's great.
Which is fantastic growth. What they've been doing lately is actually making up a lot of clans for games. So, for example, Division 2, they've got a big PlayStation clan going on there at the moment. They're trying to get the community involved and things like that. And it feels like this is something they're going to continue on going for, I guess, other games that do come out and a lot of people jump on. They'll try and get a Gaming Australia clan. So, for those that don't know many people or looking for like an Australian-friendly clan for like different games, go jump in Gaming Australia on Facebook, check them out, see what they're all about there and sort of become part of the conversation. So just search for Gaming Australia on Facebook and you'll be able to find them. We have done a little update, or Carl's done an update to the website. We've switched hosts from
Yes.
Wix onto WordPress now, and it looks like we can make articles very quickly and easily on this new website. So we're going to be starting to do little news articles about things that happen. Like, for example, System Shock 3, and if we get sent like a little press release, we'll type out a little thing, maybe throw the press release on there and share that. So we're trying to just build up our website a bit more now, because all it has really been is just a host for our podcast. We thought we can start putting up extras throughout the week, etc.
Personally, I probably wouldn't call them articles from my end. Like, it's going to be more just kind of opinion pieces based on articles and based on the news. So we will have the news there for you, but like just a thought or two of how we're feeling about it personally as people, just to share just how I was excited about Trine 4, and I feel like hardly anyone else on Earth was, or like Tetris 99 and so on and so forth. Just the things that interest us. We won't be putting everything and anything that we see that happens and quickly chuck it up there like one of those news sites that have like 5 or 6 stories a day. And so
Yeah.
don't expect kind of constant updates. It's just whatever we like and what we
Yeah.
want to share, we'll share through there with you guys.
And then we'll be sharing those articles straight onto Facebook and Twitter and all that. So the website, as always, is www.gametrainpodcast.com, and Facebook is facebook.com/GameTrainPodcast. Twitter is @GameTrainTalk, and Instagram is @GameTrainPodcast. All right, so that's got all that stuff out of the way. Let's roll into our big review this week, which is Devil May Cry 5. Okay, so Devil May Cry 5 is the latest in the Devil May Cry series from publisher and developer Capcom. It is a hack and slash third person action adventure game. You know, this series has been going for a long time, since PlayStation 2. This is actually the 6th game in the series, because they tried to reboot it several years ago with DMC, but now they've actually gone, no, we're actually going to do 5 now instead of following
after
on
some feedback.
DMC, yeah. So the story tells of 3 characters who are all playable, Dante, V, and Nero, and they are trying to take on the demon or devil Urazan, who is invading like the Earth with this big plant tree thing. It's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, it's a bit full on and crazy.
But that's what these games are. They are full on, they are crazy, they are wacky. You do not take this seriously. You do not go,
They're
oh,
over the top,
I hope,
but
I hope
all on
they've got a great
purpose.
story in this game, because it's not what you're going to get. You're going to get some ridiculous things happening. I'm not going to spoil stuff again, but there's some crazy weird stuff that just little dances and things that happen. I don't know.
It's constantly entertaining and over the top and but
Yeah.
on purpose. They know how silly it is, but they also, I think it really works for them because it's like super corny and dated script writing, but it's so tongue in cheek that they just lean all the way in instead of it's so weird where if you see corny and dated script writing in The Division 2, it's kind of cringy because they're trying to be so serious. But in this, they're leaning the total other way. And, they can have exploding stars and giant dragons appear and, right next to a normal telephone or a van. It's just things that don't fit together. They're just putting them together and making it work. Kind of a similar mindset of Smash Brothers, how it shouldn't work, but they don't care, and so because of that, it does work, and it works beautifully.
Yeah, and the gameplay is super well. It's all about combos. It's about doing stylish combos. So the longer you keep a combo going and varying that combo, your sort of combo meter beats up. Eventually, you get triple S ranking, and you get extra points at the end of the mission, etc., which you then can use to upgrade skills and things like that. And as I mentioned before, there are 3 playable characters, Dante, V, and Nero, who all play very differently. Nero is sort of the main character of this one this time. The focus is on him a lot more, but he has this thing called a devil trigger, which is this robot arm that he has, and you can choose different robot arms to put onto him. There's one that is a big Mega Man arm. There's another one. Just all these different variants of this arm that he
There's
can
one
get
with
throughout.
grapple hooks.
Yeah, exactly.
And he uses, like I said, the arms and the grapple hooks seem like a theme this episode, but
Yeah, it's unique. You can sort of set your loadout with all different arms, and depending on what you want to use, there's a shock arm and stuff as well. It's fun.
there's so much to do with just him, and this is what's so awesome, and that's just one character, and then none of that translates over to the other 2 characters
Exactly.
at all.
Well, Dante is Dante, just like he was in all the other Devil May Cry games. He uses lots of swords, guns, heaps of different swords for him. There's even one that's a motorbike that he splits in 2 and uses these crazy swords. And then can ride those, join him to ride the motorcycle around to hit the enemies. It's just out of control. But the one that plays the most differently is V, the newcomer this time. So V is actually quite a weak character, but he has 3 demons with him that sort of do his bidding. It's got this bird, this panther thing, and this other crazy big monster thing that he can summon. And you combo attacks with the different moves. So you set commands and you pretty much go, use this or use this, and you sort of hang back, and they'll do all the sort of hits on the enemy, and then you dodge the enemy, and then you run in and do a finisher and things like that. It was such a different way of playing a Devil May Cry game, where you're normally up front person, while this time you're trying to stay back and avoid stuff. But it felt so great as well. It still felt like it belonged in the game.
thematically fits, even though it is like that different. Because the things like your demons and the attacks they're doing are still so outrageous and out of this world and crazy. So it doesn't, even though your like your character's standing quite still, he still gets really involved because he has to fly in and do the finishes. And watching it, it looks like there's no way a person could be controlling all that, but it's actually quite intuitive and easy to make happen as well. Like the way the controls work and how it all happens.
Yeah, you pretty much just target an enemy and just tap like Y, etc., and then you'll do different things. Or if you move the trigger in a certain way and then hit Y, and then your bird might do a different sort of attack, or hold Y, etc. So it's quite good. And then you can have both demons attacking at once. Then you can summon the really big one as your super move, which I really liked. I felt like Nero didn't really have a super move Dante did, but Nero kind of doesn't, and it's just really cool to just bring this super move out in the middle of battle when you need it.
Just clear the room.
Yeah, it's great. It's a lot of fun. It's a beautiful look to this game as well. It's really, really nice graphics. It's running on the same engine as the Resident Evil 2 remake did.
And 7.
And 7, and it just runs so smooth. It looks so nice. Everything about it just looks absolutely fantastic. It definitely feels like a this gen game. You know, it's like it's a really solid feeling and looking game.
Yeah, the character models and even just their hair and their clothing, everything really feels really tangible, which is so cool. Even though they're like super pretty and like, you know, perfect human beings, it still has this air of realism.
Yeah.
At the same time as fantasy. Really fun.
Also, just like the other Devil May Cry, it's got a thumping heavy metal soundtrack through it.
Yes, it does.
Which is really cool, which adds to it all as well. It's like this badass sort of, you know.
I love that. We should use that, what you just did, as our intro to this trailer.
Wow.
This review.
It just suits the game so well. You know, all these elements just meld together to make an awesome game. It is a super fun game.
Yeah, and if you've played any of the Devil May Cries before it, or the Bayonettas before it, you know that it starts off full on and crazy and just ramps upwards and upwards as it goes, and just gets, when you think this is nuts, it just gets crazier, and it's so exciting to see.
Especially towards the end of the game, which I'm not going to talk about because I don't want to spoil anything.
No, of course not.
There's a lot of cool stuff that happens, but by the end of the game, you're like, what is this? Like, it's just out of control. One thing that I didn't particularly like about the game is that they used some of the same environments a lot. This big tree thing. It got a little samey after a while. I was just like, around this area again, sort of thing. It was great when you were in like different areas of the city, etc. It just felt a bit more fresh, I felt. And also I felt the game was a little short, but they've all been about the same length.
Yeah, it's more of a palate cleanser type of a game.
Yeah.
You know, if you're planning on getting into another huge adventure somewhere, or if you've done looter shooters for the last, 100, 200 hours and you're about to jump into another one, maybe play something like this right in the middle, which I think you did exactly that.
I did exactly that. I went from Anthem, which I hit endgame and get up my character, so I spent a lot of time there, into this, which I finished the whole game, into Division. So it was like this great palette cleanser bang in the middle.
I think that's the best way to play this.
Yeah.
Especially if you, like, the game is awesome in itself, and I don't want to belittle it by saying it, but if you have something that you know is huge, like, say, Assassin's Creed or something like that, some massive game that you're truly looking forward to, maybe that's a good time to play this before it. Instead of, I think the disappointment comes from when you're like, oh, wow, look at all these cool reviews about Devil May Cry. Everyone's saying it's so great. I'm going to sit down and this is going to be my new big, awesome game. And that's where you get let down because it's short and you're like, oh, I was really preparing myself to give everything to this month, to this game, like, so I think it's not just a good palate cleanser, but I think it's almost a necessity as a palate cleanser. Like, look forward to something as well and just go like, I'm just going to play this first, and you'll just be so pleasantly surprised instead of like bitterly disappointed.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we give our scores?
I really like Nico. That's all.
Okay.
But also,
Cindy too.
Cindy 2.0 from Final Fantasy 15. Yeah. She's really cool. The play, like the banter, the writing, it's all actually really fun. But I did want to say one thing that I was a bit more disappointed on myself is there was a lot less exploration than I would have liked, but I think it's a lot more centered about the combos and the style and replaying the levels and seeing how well you can kill everyone and look great doing it. But I guess it's my own sort of play style, but I was hoping for a little bit more exploration.
Yep.
It did feel like a little bit corridor corridory kind of, like taking me along a specific path, which if you're just concentrating on fighting the bad guys is really fun because it helps you do that focus. But besides that, this was just, for what it was and knowing in itself what it was, I felt like it was near on flawless.
Okay, so what's your score for it?
I gave it an 8.7.
Cool. Yeah, as I said, I enjoyed it. It's a great palate cleanser. I really dug the game. Went from start to end. Little things, samey backgrounds, as you said, the corridor thing, a little. Yeah, I would have liked a bit more exploration too. And I've given it an 8.6.
Oh, nice. Look at us go.
I know.
Friends forever.
All right, and that was Devil May Cry 5.
Your legacy.
On to our new segment, which we spoke about a couple of episodes ago, but I wasn't here last time to follow up on it, is Classic Me, Classic You. Now,
Yes.
This is our new segment where we've given each other an old game to play that we liked from our childhood for the other one to experience for themselves and then report back what they think of it.
Yeah, for the first time, we're trying to give each other games that we never played, like
Yes.
the other person never played.
Carl gave me Hyperzone, which is a game that was on Super Nintendo.
Yes, yeah, how'd you like it?
Yeah. Look, it looks like F-Zero, and I've never liked
It does.
I've never liked that graphic style. I've always disliked it. I just find it a bit yucky. I'm playing this game, and there's all these flashes going on everywhere, like there's lava everywhere, and I just didn't really dig the graphic style for starters. What it reminded me of, it plays like the gummy ship from Kingdom Hearts that you're flying around. You're shooting things.
Yes. Yeah, it does. It does a bit.
And through these levels, etc. That's really what I got from it. Like, I don't think I even would have liked this when I was a kid.
See, I was in the Solomon Islands and didn't have much choice besides the games I was currently playing, so I probably didn't like it at first, but because there was nothing else to play, I got right into it, and you get, like, new ships and stuff, and the gameplay gets faster, and I got really excited, but I am very aware at how dog ugly it is. You look like a hamburger at the start, I'm pretty sure.
The ship just doesn't feel like it moves from side to side and up and down quick enough. It's a bit as you're moving,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, all right, cool. But yeah, I just really dislike the graphic style. Just not a fan.
That makes complete sense.
So you
Right,
had
Landstalker.
Landstalker.
Yeah, had a little, now this surprised me. I disliked the graphics and the character model. You know how I feel about character models. If I don't look good, I can't play it. And I feel like it was a silly looking character with big feet and a dumb smile. But everything else, I loved it. And I could have seen myself getting lost in this game for weeks. I was so surprised, 'cause I'm glad you didn't tell me much, because it's like an action RPG. And just what I was saying before about Devil May Cry, this is opposite. There was so much less combat than I expected, and so much of it was jumping around and puzzles and exploring.
Yeah.
Treasure hunting, and I was like, what am I doing? Because it looks like Chrono Trigger or something at first, like a much cruder, sort of cheaper version. Like, it's not as beautiful. It's very busy visuals. Which makes me so thankful for companies, games like Octopath Traveler, where they blur everything out and make it, more focused. I loved, like, there were so many little secrets that you could find, and jumping it, like, the story was very corny. You're a guy called Nigel, and you have, and there's a fairy called Friday, which you never call a fairy. He only ever refers to her as a little girl.
Yeah.
He says, "Hey, little girl, and I'm looking at the screen going, dude, that's a minuscule humanoid with wings flying above your shoulder. That's not a little..." I was so confused, and I was like, is he talking to someone else? But I was really surprised, and the soundtrack was actually really cool. And I think if I could get past the visuals, which were a bit jarring, and I don't know if that's just because it's old, but I don't think so, because things like Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger still look beautiful to me. It was a bit close, like the camera was a bit close. He's a bit big and silly looking.
Yep.
I was really kind of impressed by that, like jumping around, exploring, and not that much combat.
Yep.
That was really cool.
It was Sega's answer to Zelda, pretty much, and it shows.
Right.
Shows. It shows.
Yes, yeah, it does show. They are trying to sort of do that. Yeah, there's even a fairy, and he's...
Yep.
I see. No, it was pretty fun, actually.
Cool.
It was really cool. I didn't mind that. And I had never even heard of it, so that's the perfect recommendation.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you for that.
You're welcome. All right. Well, for the next one,
Yes, all right. What have you got for me next time?
Okay, again on the Mega Drive. So a lot of mine will be coming from that because that was my main console when I was a kid growing up.
Right.
I'm giving you Shining Force 2. This game
Force
made me
2.
fall in love with RPGs.
Oh, you give me another RPG, mate. Come on. Man, I got this list for you that's ready, and it's so eclectic and different, and you're going to be doing different things every week. And then for me, you're like, okay, dust off that hat and put this hat on.
This is one of my favorite games of all time.
I will play it. And that makes it easy for me to choose here, because I've got a whole bunch here ready for you. I've like started writing, a list here. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to pick the one that is also one of my favorite games. But one, I don't know if, I hope you haven't played it. I hope you haven't played it. I hope you even haven't even heard of it. This one is on computer, so I hope you can find a place to play it.
Okay.
And it is actually renowned for how hard it is to get working these days. So if you can't, I forgive you for watching a Let's Play or something, but really get into it.
Okay.
Just telling you, it's a point and click. That's all I'll say. But it's a game called Toonstruck.
I think I've played that.
Damn, have you? I've got more on this list here, but have you played Toonstruck?
I'm pretty sure I have. Give us another one just in case. I used to play a lot of point and click back in the day.
All right, wait. Let me just tell you one thing real quickly. You play as Christopher Lloyd. It's not even a voice. You play as him, his embodiment. Like you are.
Are there balloons in a theme park sort of thing?
Gee, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. And that's the one I want to hear about next week.
Okay.
If you haven't played it, but if you have, just in case, so I can say it on air here. Have you ever played? This is a side scroller, and it's called Iron Man and Exo Manowar.
What?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Love that. Okay, good. Put that down. If not, we'll do that next episode.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Do Toonstruck. If you feel like I think you'd remember Toonstruck.
Yeah.
Like you play as, you are Christopher Lloyd, and he's an animator.
Okay. Well, I'll have to Google it. All right. So let's roll on from there.
We've done like almost 2 or 3 episodes where we've skipped Paul Reef's questions.
Yeah. Okay.
Another question. So, have you seen the new Final Fantasy XIV expansion with Gunblades and Nier Automata rumored? What are your thoughts?
No.
All right. Thank you for sending that. I think that's all there is here.
Yeah.
I've seen none of that stuff.
I've never played Final Fantasy 14, and I feel like WoW with you, it's just too far gone for me to even just contemplate picking it up now.
Yeah, I understand. I love Final Fantasy 15, and unlike WoW, the one thing you've got going for you, if you are ever curious, is it looks a bit more contemporary, so it's easier to stomach for newcomers.
Yeah.
But it's still, any MMO. It's full on.
You know
There's
what I'm
so
like
much
with
stuff in there.
MMOs. Like I won't go near any other ones. They're just too much of a time sink to get far.
That's true. And just to reiterate on, so I don't just give him a blatant no. If what he's saying is true, and there is Gunblades and Nier Automata rumored, then I am actually genuinely excited. But I haven't heard of that before. Just reading his question right now, but cool. I'll jump in for that. For sure.
All right, let's wrap up the episode. Let's roll into that lame train. My lame train for this week is my internet. I'm having all sorts of issues with a volatile internet at the moment. It is going from 30 megabits a second down to 1, up again. It is all over the place. If anyone out there that's listening to this knows what I can do to help try and fix this, please let me know because it's driving me friggin' bonkers.
I wish I could help you, and that really sucks. I do remember that. What were you downloading?
Anthem, and it was just up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I remember that. And it
was
was
or was it Division 2?
It could have been Division 2, actually, yeah. And I remember thinking, like, how are you taking this long? You've always just had fast internet. And which leads me to my lame train, which is Australian internet in general. Just thinking about it because of all this exciting Stadia, Google's thing, and also xCloud being announced, and like, it's the future of gaming and everything. And I just sit here just going like, next, ignore. It is interesting news, and I feel like we have to talk about it. But as an Australian, I just feel like, well, that doesn't apply to me for the next 5 or 10 years. Yeah. Automatically, we have to think like that because it's just like a rule out, and that's just so lame. That's my lame train.
Let's get off the lame train and roll into the love train. so my love train this week has been squatting up in Division 2. You and I played through the whole normal campaign together, which was an absolute blast. I've been now teaming up with you guys now at like max level, etc., which has been an absolute blast. It was so much fun, and that's what I've really been digging like the last couple of weeks, or last week.
I have to agree there. I'm about to go into my love train, but just so that the listeners don't think that we're completely unaware, I also have a minor lame train, which is trying to find out which part of my setup is causing all this crackle in the background. It's there, and we know it's there, and I'm going to try and fix it for the next episode, but right now just think of us as kind of vintage, okay? This is like the vintage recording.
See, I'm the one that's supposed to have the bad mics and sound here. Now
I know.
You're doing it.
And I hate this. It normally sounds so smooth and nice, but I can see it happening there. So I do apologize, guys. I am aware, and I will try and find the solution before the next episode. But Love Train, I have to agree with Callan. That has been awesome. And I'm just going to sort of put it all in one thing. My Love Train is March. March has just been awesome with Devil May Cry 5 and Division 2, and then, Dirt and Sekiro for you. And then Yoshi coming up next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just been this like surprise month of greatness.
Yep.
And like I have to agree that Division 2 has been the highlight of all that, probably of the whole year. Jumping on every night and just seeing like who's on. Oh, yep, okay, 4 or 5 different people. Let's all just play together and have this squad going. And it happened with Anthem as well. There's been so much kind of togetherness in gaming, and I've been so hyped about it. Like anyone who's been listening has known that I was talking about the same thing with Connor last episode, and I'm so happy that it's continuing on to another game, but everyone all moved at the same time, so our friends are still there, and it feels like the same experience.
Yeah. Into the hype train.
Hype train.
Now we're going to do something a little different this week. We're going to pick each other's hype trains.
Oh, shoot.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't ready for that.
I know. So I'm just throwing it out there now. Carl's hype train is the new Soulstorm Abe's Odyssey game.
I'm just going to backspace this real quick. No, it's not. I'm just kidding. Nail on the head. It's the first one in like, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
So they're talking about it's not a direct remake of Exodus. It's a new game in the series and using a lot of themes from Exodus. There's new enemies that were only concept art for years that fans have been talking about for ages, like fans like myself. I talk often about the tattoo I have on my arm that covers my whole sleeve with all different gaming characters, and the section that takes up the most real estate is Abe and a Slig. Like, it's huge. It takes up more than anything else on that arm is dedicated to Oddworld. And I ruled out a new Oddworld, let alone a new side-scrolling Oddworld, which is what they're kind of hinting at that this is going to be. So instead of making it like Munch's Odyssey or, that Cowboy one, whatever that was called, I don't even remember anymore. But like the side-scrolling Abe's Odyssey and Abe's Exodus were just some of the best games I have ever played, and I'm so hype. So good guess there, Callan.
Cool. So what's my hype train?
Your hype train. See, if we hadn't played Sekiro, I would have said it was that.
Yeah, it's not Sekiro.
But it was. Hey,
it was, but it's not now because I've now played it.
I know. So now I don't like. Now I'm lost. Like,
I'll give you a clue.
Coming up?
I'll give you a clue. I mentioned it in the episode.
You mentioned it in the episode.
Mm.
Okay. Geez, let me see. Yeah. It's not Yoshi or Assassin's Creed. What is happening? What's coming out? Days Gone, Mortal Kombat.
No, we didn't mention any of those.
What did you talk about? Guys, what is he doing to me? I wonder if any of the listeners are like, it's so obvious.
Okay, do you want me to tell you?
Wait, give me 5 seconds.
Dum-dum.
Yep. I've got it. It's the raid for Division 2.
Nope.
Damn.
Nah, it's System Shock 3. Come on, mate.
Oh, okay. So we both had the same hype train in the same day of news, then.
Yeah. BioShock was like I think from
spiritual successor.
A spiritual successor, but this is now a true sequel to Part 2. So it's going to be really interesting how it plays. I really enjoyed Part 2 back in the day, so hearing that a Part 3 is finally coming, I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah, for classic me, classic you should have given me System Shock 2, but
I think that would be a hard one to find, maybe because of the old PC. That's why sort of avoiding the old PC games. There's a few there that I'd like you to try, but it's just getting a hold of them nowadays with like current Windows not working with those old games, etc. So it can be a bit of a pain to try and track
which is the
down.
pain I've given you for all my games.
Thank you.
Did you write them down? Tell me the games I gave you, because I don't know if you
Toon
got that
Squad?
second one. Toon Struck.
Oh,
Jeez, I'm so glad I asked.
and Iron Man.
What? All right, you'll text me. But for the listeners, Iron Man and XO Manowar.
That's what I said.
I know, I heard you. Toon Struck, like struck by lightning. Toon Squad. This is not Space Jam. Jesus.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you for joining us. Remember to check out the website, GameTrainPodcast.com, etc., etc. But I am Callan.
And I'm Karl.
And this has been Game Train.